There we go. Welcome everyone to the council meeting for the Tuesday, the 17th of June, 2025. Members of the public are advised that this meeting will be live streamed and recorded, and the live stream recording will be made publicly available on YouTube and the council's website. I'd just like to acknowledge that Nillumbik Shire Council respectfully acknowledges the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people as traditional owners of the country on which Nillumbik is located, and we value the significance of the Wurundjeri people's history as essential to the unique character of the Shire. We pay tribute to all First Nations people living in Nillumbik, give respect to elders past, present and future, and extend that respect to all First Nations people. We respect the enduring strength of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung and acknowledge the ongoing impact of past traumas and injustices from colonial invasions, massacres and genocide committed against First Nations people. We acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. Wurundjeri Woiwurrung hold a deep and ongoing connection to this place. We value the distinctive place of our First Nations people in both Nillumbik and Australia's identity, from their cultural heritage and care of the land and waterways to their ongoing contribution in many fields, including academia, agriculture, art, economics, law and politics. I now ask Councillor Kate McKay to read the Good Governance Pledge.
As councillors, we are mindful of our civic responsibilities and obligations. We pledge to take them seriously and to carry them out with diligence and integrity. We know the decisions we take will affect the people and environment of Nillumbik now and in the future. We undertake, therefore, to make sound and principled decisions of lasting value in a spirit of fairness and for the good of all. We also pledge to serve the needs and well-being of the community and the environment in an open and honest manner and to the best of our abilities.
Thank you, Councillor McKay. It's now with pleasure I introduce the Reverend Dr. John Smith from the Vines Baptist Church. The Vines Baptist Church has been a part of Eltham's community for almost 35 years, with both campuses in Eltham and Hurstbridge. The church provides an opportunity for worship and connection each Sunday at both venues, along with various activities for people of all ages, for church attendees and the wider community. Recent programs have included the dinner for the over 55s, young adult events, a weekly youth group, and regular play groups. Similar events are planned throughout the year, which include the Vines Christmas Carols, a men's camp, a women's camp, a youth camp. The church is also privileged to partner with the Diamond Valley Community Support and the Lions Club in its year-round food drive and annual Christmas gift appeal. And also a number of weekly Bible study groups also run, which cater for those who want to grow in and explore the Christmas faith. So I'd ask Dr. John Smith to come up and please read a prayer for us.
Thank you for the privilege of being able to share with you at the beginning of this meeting. Let's pray together. Father God, you know what's going on here. You understand the hearts of all people, and you know the decisions that need to be made. You know those decisions need to be made with integrity. They need to be blessed by the power of your Spirit. They need to be encouraged in terms of the ideas and the character of this community. And I want to pray now that you would allow these people here know that you are with them and you are encouraging them to be the best that they can be. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. John Smith. We don't have any apologies or leaves of absence, and I don't believe we have any declarations of conflict of interest. I'll move on to presentations and ask Councillor Peter Perkins to read out some of the Nillumbik residents who are on the King's Birthday 2025 honours list.
Thank you, Mayor. It was great yet again to see members of our community being recognised for their achievements in the recent King's Birthday Honours list. And tonight, I'd like to acknowledge them and their achievements. So the following Nillumbik residents were appointed as a member of the Order of Australia, AM, in the General Division. The late Dr. Shajiv Koshi, OAM, for significant service to dentistry, particularly through board and leadership roles. Professor Alistair Royce, for significant service to medicine, as a cardiothoracic surgeon, researcher, educator and trainer. The following Nillumbik residents were awarded the Medal of the Order of Australia, or OAM, in the General Division. Emeritus Professor Robert Baines, for service to the creative arts, particularly as a jeweller and to education. Andrew Baxter, for service to the community through fundraising contributions. Shout out to Bruce Holland, I know Bruce, for service to communities of northeast of Melbourne. Bruce had served 55 years with the Diamond Creek CFA. That's mainly how I know him, but just looking at also what he's done. Trustee of the Eltham Cemetery Trust since 1980. Secretary Manager of the Ringle Eltham Cemetery Trust from 1971 to 1980. So that must have been what the Eltham Cemetery was called before it was called the Eltham Cemetery. The Ringle Eltham Cemetery Trust. Member Chamber of Commerce, honorary member CFA, life member Diamond Creek Fire Brigade, Diamond Creek Rotary Club, Rotary International Charter member 1992. List goes on. He's done heaps and heaps, particularly also with Rotary Club of Eltham, past president 76, 77, president 75, 76. A lot of stuff there with Rotary Club of Eltham, certified practicing accountant, BHT partners in Eltham. Paul Harris Fellowship, Rotary Club of Eltham, Rotary International 1998, and a whole heap of other stuff. Congratulations, Bruce. Joy Pence, also no Joy, and Joy's served a lifetime with local CFA brigades, particularly Wattle Glen, and the Whittlesea Diamond Valley Group of Fire Brigades, was his secretary for many, many years, and I'm sure she's done a whole heap of other stuff, certainly very well in the local community, particularly around Wattle Glen. Jeffrey Watt, for service to the community of North East Melbourne. And I'd like to commend all recipients for their dedication, service and achievement of excellence in their field. They embody the Nillumbik ethos of service, diligence, commitment, and above all, serving the broader community. Also, former Nillumbik Shire Council CEO Bill Forrest receives an OAM, Medal of the Order of Australia, in the General Division for service to urban planning, the arts and the community. Bill was just on the way out when I was elected 15 years ago, about 2010, so Bill will be on the CEO's honour board there, but Bill did serve as CEO of Council for many, many years and was very well liked and respected, so congratulations again, Bill.
Thanks very much, Councillor Perkins. I'm sure Jim Connor would remember Bill very well. We'll now move on to confirmation of minutes. Could I have a mover for the confirmation of the minutes for the meeting held on Tuesday, the 27th of May, 2025?
I can move that.
Thanks, Councillor Mackay.
I move to confirm the minutes of the council meeting held on the Tuesday, the 27th of May.
Can I get a seconder for that? Councillor Cope. Councillor Mackay, do you wish to add anything?
No, thank you.
Councillor Cope. Any other councillors wish to say anything? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll move on to petitions. I believe Councillor Joy has a petition for... I'll let you explain your petition, I suppose.
Thank you, Mayor. So we've received a petition about the dog park at Eltham North. So I'd like to move that Council receives and notes the small dog park petition requesting seating and a shelter for the small dog park at Wattle Tree Road in Eltham North in accordance with the Governance Rule meeting procedure. And also that this petition is referred to the Chief Operating Officer for investigation and response. And note the officers will advise the petition organiser of the outcome.
Thanks, Councillor Joy. Seconded, Councillor Brooker. Councillor Joy.
Thank you, Mayor. I note that seating is commonly provided in dog parks and is provided in the large dog area at Eltham North. Our plans for upgrades to the Diamond Creek Dog Park include seating and shelters in both areas. So they're just a couple of points to note about seating in our dog parks. I'm also very touched by the petition in that it speaks to social inclusion. It describes the Eltham North Dog Park as not just a place for dogs to socialise, but a place for humans to socialise too, which has proven benefits for health and wellbeing. So thank you to the submitter and all 34 signatories. I look forward to advice from our officers on if and when this may be a possibility.
Thanks, Councillor Joy. Councillor Brooker, do you wish to speak? Any other councillors wish to speak? Okay, well, we will vote on that. So all those in favour? Carried unanimously. We have no questions from the gallery, so we will move on to reports of advisory committees. We've got a number of reports here, so do I have a mover for this motion?
Yes, I'm happy to move that.
Councillor Mackay.
And I move the advisory committee reports as per the papers.
Lucky you corrected that, or otherwise
Yes,
we
not
might
to
have
remove.
not had any advisory committees left. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Joy. Councillor Mackay, do you wish to say something?
Yeah, just quickly, as the chair of the Environmental Sustainability Group, we had a great meeting last week, and we got some good environmental and sustainability lenses on many things, including the draft council budget, lots of discussion on the draft domestic animal management plan in relation to cat confinement and management of dogs on ovals, and discussed the Watsons Creek catchment workshop, and just wanted to thank the members for their enthusiasm and advice. And, yeah, minutes as per recorded.
Thanks very much, Councillor Mackay. Councillor Joy, do you wish to speak? Any other councillors wish to speak on those issues? Okay, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to officers' reports, and we've got the presentation of the draft Municipal Public Health and Wellbeing Plan 2025 to 2029. Do I have a mover? Councillor Joy.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that Council endorse the draft Public Health and Wellbeing Plan 2025 to 2029 for public exhibition, and the rest as per the papers. Thank you.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Brooker. Councillor Joy, do you wish to speak to the matter?
Thank you, Mayor. As Chair of the Health and Wellbeing Committee, I'm very pleased to see this progressing. And I'd just like to highlight that this is not just another strategic plan. The Health and Wellbeing Plan is actually a requirement under the Victorian State Government's Public Health and Wellbeing Act. And it's really important to understand that the plan is underpinned by scientific evidence about the social determinants of health. Social determinants of health describe the external factors beyond our personal choice and biology that shape our health. These determinants include things like social inclusion, access to education, employment, public services, legal rights, and the political environment. And it's not only council officers who have worked on this, it's been developed working closely with our partners on the Health and Wellbeing Advisory Committee. These include Health Ability, Wholestep Health, North Eastern Public Health Unit, our library and leisure representatives and community representatives. Then there has been the community consultation that has already happened to get the plan to this stage. We had 601 survey respondents. More than 560 people participated in consultation at the pop-ups that were held in Eltham, Diamond Creek and Hurstbridge. More than 450 people reached out through the Phase 2 consultation activities. 59 attendees at the Health and Wellbeing Partnership Forum and 98 attendees at the Health and Wellbeing Profile Workshop, along with 5 other advisory committees that were consulted throughout the process. All of this work has led to the 6 priorities that you will see in the draft plan, and they are improving mental wellbeing and social connection, preventing discrimination and violence, increasing active living and hopefully more trails, and improving food systems, another topic that is very close to my heart, reducing harm from alcohol, drugs, vaping, tobacco and gambling, and advocating for improving access to services, facilities and housing. It's a very ambitious plan, and it is supported, of course, by a range of actions and hopefully future budget allocations. And it will be certainly a work in progress as we continue to deliver this over the next few years. So we do look forward to your feedback on our draft health and wellbeing plan. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Joy. Councillor Brooker, do you wish to speak?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Joy, for recapping the engagement process, which was so extensive. I think the real question is how well does the consultation align with the plan that is before us this evening? I also want to say that on top of that community engagement, and it's in the papers here, there's a whole lot of specific metrics that were related to Nillumbik were gained from the health and wellbeing profile. So those of you who are really into data and statistics and things of that sort, there is a lot of material there. And this is really important, that the data informs the plan, not just as important as it is what our residents and through those workshops and survey responses tell us are the important issues, but what the data tells us are the major issues in Nillumbik. To focus on priority 1, the first area of the plan, improving mental well-being and social connection. So much of council activities' budget allocations are directed to this activity. Crucially, that data profile tells us this is an area, an important place to focus that activity, as 20% of residents feel lonely, particularly the highest in the 18 to 24-year-old age group. It's such an incredible irony that we have got these incredible, powerful digital connections that we all know about and use of Instagram, Reddit, Facebook and so on, run by companies valued in billions of dollars, and yet Nillumbik, in our local neighbourhoods, in our local parks and open spaces, in our local fitness centres, in our local, service clubs, that is where you get community connections and where you try and address this scourge of loneliness. So council can make investments that can authentically connect people to one another. And that is what we should do. So the plan through the data informs us where our priorities should be. And this overarching theme of community health and well-being, we find can be responded to by all types of council actions. Supporting the groups I mentioned in kind and in budget, facilitating attractive open spaces, aesthetically pleasing parks and playgrounds that allow and encourage informal interactions, and we've already heard about the dog park. So residents can truly feel that has impacts on their mental health and facilitates genuine connection around our common interests, and that people will be healthier, happier, wealthier, more friends, more positive interactions with each other, less lonely, less isolated, less anonymous, all because we've taken this broader perspective of the social determinants of health and well-being and executed through our plans some priorities. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Any other councillors wish to speak on the matter? We'll take a vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to the quarterly risk and safety report for March 2025. Do I have a mover?
Yes, thanks.
Councillor Joyner?
I move that Council notes the summary of the confidential risk and safety report as per attachment 1 for the year ending December 2024, and resolves that the risk and safety report remains confidential in accordance with section 3(1)(a) and F of the Local Government Act 2020.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Yes, I can second that.
Councillor Mackay. Councillor Joyner, do you wish to speak?
Yes, thanks. I just wanted to note that this report provides a summary of Council's risk and safety report for the quarter ending March 2025. The report is presented in accordance with the Local Government Planning and Reporting Regulations 2020, detailing the strategic risks, operational risks, the consequences and likelihood of occurrence, and risk mitigation strategies.
Thank you. Councillor Mackay, do you wish to speak?
I'll just make a brief note that property incidents at the end of December in 2024 tripled in the number compared to the same time the previous year. And this, just to note that this is attributed to some recategorising of incident data, which will be rectified over the next few quarters. So nothing untoward in the data there.
Just before we vote, I'd just like to say that... Sorry, Councillor Brooker, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. Before we vote, look, just to comment on a new incident that is being recorded or introduced into the reporting systems this quarter in this quarterly risk and safety report. Near misses at the Civic Drive roundabout. The purpose is to capture data to provide some metrics to our advocacy to other levels of government and to improve the we're trying to improve the safety of that intersection. So I think it's a really helpful and worthwhile thing to have recorded near misses. Now, how we actually go about collecting all those near misses, I know we have hundreds of our council officers have to brave that intersection every day, and maybe they can feed back some near misses through into the quarterly risk and safety report. So this data will hopefully be helpful in our continued efforts to come up with a solution for this very obvious, very real, and very necessary issue that we have at Civic Drive. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors wish to speak? I'd just like to say, from attending the meeting, John Watson, the chair of the meeting, noted the quality of the reports that were being brought to this meeting. He sat on many committees over the time and recommended very highly the quality of reports that Nillumbik officers were bringing. So congratulations to them. But we'll take a vote. All carried unanimously. We'll now move on to Councillor Internal Resolution Procedures. So moved, Councillor Brooker.
Yes, I could please move, I should read this out as there's been a couple of changes, that Council endorses the Councillor internal resolution procedure with the following amendment: the removal of the last paragraph under section 3 of the procedure, attachment 1.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. Seconded, Councillor Cope. Councillor Brooker.
How did we get here? Well, amendments to the Local Government Act, where councils are required to adopt and implement procedures for alleged breaches of the Model Councillor Code of Conduct. So it's very difficult to say. The Model Councillor Code of Conduct is a relatively new policy that all councillors in Victoria affirm when they get sworn in, and which we all did back in November of last year. So it seemed a sensible thing to have an internal resolution procedure for possible breaches of that Model Councillor Code of Conduct. Now, Maddox lawyers who advise local government or the sector in many, many different areas advised us that, you know, that this would be a template that we could use here for our purposes. And the first point is that disputes do happen between councillors, so having a mechanism to resolve them seems to be a good idea. The report goes through how that happens, but councillors need to, you know, involve the mayor. If the mayor is one of the people that is the subject of the complaint, then the deputy mayor or a other councillor. So it doesn't really matter who that is, but that person has to then chair a conciliation meeting attempting to resolve the issues at hand. So, look, obviously for an internal resolution process to be successful, both parties need to come into it, I guess, with a spirit of compromise and with a spirit of wanting to resolve the conflict. That is the preeminent thing that needs to happen for it to be resolved internally, which I think would be everyone's preference when issues arise. So this lays out the template. I hope we never have to use it. I hope, you know, this council policy can go into the bottom drawer, never to be looked at ever again. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Cope, do you wish to say something? Any other councillors wish to speak? Okay, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to the councillor use of social media policy. Do I have a mover? Councillor Joyner.
Thank you. I'd like to move that Council endorses the councillor use of social media policy as per attachment 1.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Mackay. Councillor Joyner.
Thanks. A councillor use of social media policy has been developed to support councillors in their use of social media to engage with the community while undertaking their role as councillor. My thoughts are that it doesn't hurt having a social media policy. It's always good to have things in place to stop councillors from being out of line than what is appropriate. Some councillors do not have the respect for their other councillors or the self-awareness that it takes when dealing with social media, and their self-indulgence can overshadow things. So it's good to be clear on the outset and have a policy in place.
Thanks, Councillor Joyner. Councillor Mackay. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Brooker.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, this is an area that I don't support, the social media policy. We have the Model Councillor Code of Conduct. That is a very broad code, and one of the things that, and I think it's intentionally broad to cover everything, really. One of the things it talks about is It is a breach of the Model Councillor Code of Conduct to bring discredit upon the council. That is a very broad comment, to bring discredit. That could be major or minor, intentional or unintentional. But if you bring discredit, you're in breach of the Model Councillor Code of Conduct. It seems to me the problem with the social media policy is it tries to be too prescriptive. There's about 50, there's 30 or 40 sort of items that it identifies, specifically if you're involved in doxing, that's in breach of the social media policy and things like that. Whereas I think the broad brush approach is better. So I think it is actually unnecessary. It is any behaviour, any action, any statement that someone would have a problem with, that someone is putting on social media, would also be in breach of the Model Councillor Code of Conduct. The most important thing in the Model Councillor Code of Conduct and in the social media policy is the same thing: to separate your own views from the council views. That is the paramount thing to do. So if you're on social media, that is your personal view. It is not necessarily the council view. And that's what the social media policy says. So I think some of the specific parts of this policy are just repeated from the Model Councillor Code of Conduct. Not engaging in demeaning, abusive, obscene or threatening behaviour. That's in the Model Council Code of Conduct. It's in the social media policy. Not engaging in behaviour intentionally or perpetuating stereotyping, prejudiced aggression. Words very similar to that effect are in the social media policy. Bringing discredit to the council. It's in the Model Councillor Code. It's in the social media policy. So it's just a little bit unnecessary. I think it's replicating something that is covered off adequately as is. And after saying I didn't think you'd ever want to refer to the internal resolution process, I think same applies with this. If there's only one policy we need to look at, that's better than multiple policies trying to regulate the behaviours of councillors. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Any other councillors wish to speak? No? Then we'll put it to the vote. Oh, sorry, dissent. So right of reply, Councillor Joyner.
I hope you're right, Councillor Brooker, that we don't need to refer to it, but it is a growing space, and I think it's always good to have things in place to fall back on. But I hope you're right.
Okay, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Carried 6-1. We'll now move on to the Councillor Confidentiality Policy. Sorry.
I think that's as hard as the Model Councillor Code of Conduct, man.
I don't think so, but I obviously don't have your eloquence, Councillor Brooker. Do we have a mover for this policy?
Yes, I will move that.
Councillor Mackay.
I move that Council endorse the Councillor Confidentiality Policy.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Cope. Councillor Mackay, do you wish to speak?
Just briefly, I'll just outline that this policy has been developed, so it sets out clearly the obligations of councillors to adhere and comply with the obligations relating to privacy and confidentiality as set out in the Local Government Act. And it seems quite obvious, but it goes through things around confidential information such as council business, security information, land use planning, law enforcement, legal privileged information, personal information, private commercial information, confidential meeting information, internal arbitration information, councillor code of conduct panel, etc. So covers quite a number of things to be mindful of as councillors.
Thanks, Councillor Mackay. Councillor Cope, do you wish to speak? Any other councillors wish to speak? Okay, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to the draft asset plan and draft financial plan for 2025 to 2035. Do I have a mover? Councillor Joyner.
Thank you. I'd like to move the motion as per the papers. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Joyner. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Brooker. Councillor Joyner.
The draft asset plan 2025 to 2035 and the draft financial plan 2025 to 2035 is, yes, going out to public exhibition. The draft asset plan provides a high-level strategic and financial view of how council intends to manage its transport, building, drainage and open space assets for the next 10 financial years. The purpose of the 10-year draft financial plan is to demonstrate council's financial sustainability in order to fund the aspirations of the community vision and the council plan. Community consultation is due to commence on the 18th of June through to the 9th of July. Public submissions will close on the 9th of July and will be considered at the Planning and Consultation Committee meeting on the 12th of August. So we look forward to hearing your submissions then. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Joyner. Councillor Brooker.
Yes, look, this report tells us there's $819 million of assets that Nillumbik are managing. The map on page 12 of the report demonstrates this council and previous ones have been excellent custodians of our $819 million worth of assets. Not maintaining assets can be a very expensive option in the medium to long term. The ratios described on page 5 show how reliant council is for external funding sources to achieve the targeted level of capital outlays, that is the state government, federal governments. The transition to Eltham Pool to electric heat pumps being the latest example. The capital outlays as a percentage of our own source of revenue target is greater than 30%. Nillumbik at its highest level in 2025-26 is less than that, and in out years worse again, which is another way of saying that increasingly capital type investments are a smaller proportion of council cash as our revenues are funded. Our revenues are funding operational expenses and our maintenance requirements for those assets described in the report. I wanted to make a comment about borrowing here because at the borrowings we have extensively outlined in this report. A fundamental difference between councils and our own household budgets that often you get this kind of criticism, why can't you run the council like your household? Well, a fundamental difference is, councils can keep borrowing, and there's some caveats to that around normal cash flow and the ratios described and, having your rate revenue in the right zone for the Auditor General. But households typically don't want to pass on debts to our children, and Nillumbik, unlike ourselves, will hopefully never die. So funding infrastructure like the heat pumps is a way of making future ratepayers contribute to something they will benefit from in the future, rather than 100% of the burden falling on current Nillumbik residents. So that is the reason that we borrow for infrastructure, to kind of spread out the costs for the future, and so future residents are also contributing to that infrastructure. That said, it is an argument that can only be maintained if you are using that borrowing to fund infrastructure. And that is what, in my time at council, we've always been careful to do. And so that is what I think is an appropriate use of that borrowing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Any other councillors wish to speak? No? Then we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to the draft council plan 2025 to 2029, incorporating the community vision. Do I have a mover?
Yes, I will move the draft council plan.
Thanks, Councillor Mackay.
I would like to move this as per the papers for our very exciting document in draft, the council plan.
Thank you. Seconder?
Yes, thanks.
Councillor Joyner? Councillor Mackay?
Yes, this is a exciting one to move because we've all been working very hard on it with our energies and excitements for the future of Nillumbik. So this is the primary strategic document that Council is making for the 4-year term, and it identifies the objectives and strategies along with indicators to monitor the achievement of these objectives and strategies in line with the community vision. And the community feedback gathered through the Nillumbik Now and Beyond engagement process, and that has helped inform the draft plan. So the information and community feedback gathered through Nillumbik Now and Then has helped inform the plan, as I said, and has been developed also through a series of workshops with councillors and officers. And some of the highlights or headlines of focus areas include improving access to services and infrastructure, fostering community involvement and leadership through volunteering, with the state government's housing targets, advocacy around housing and planning reforms that protect local neighbourhood character, undertaking strategy work and audits to prioritise pedestrian safety improvements, advocating improved public transport services, including to better connect rural communities, swiftly addressing cleanliness and maintenance issues for use of all residents, advancing our sustainable procurement and waste minimisation practices that align with circular economy outcomes and low emissions goals and green development, of course protecting our trees to reduce canopy loss and revegetate where possible. And this will be implemented through the annual action plan, which will be developed, and it will detail the specific actions committed year on year. So that's a very exciting document for us to put forward. I just wanted to, what else? I'll just say we had a lot of responses to the Nillumbik Now and Beyond, I believe over 500. And then we also engaged deliberatively through the use of a representative group of community members who were randomly recruited and selected to help us form our our council plan, I should say. And I just wanted to thank all individuals who have contributed either online or in our workshop. Also, a big thank you to the Culture and Performance team for organising this to put it together, Metropolis Research, the Nillumbik officers, and of course my fellow councillors. So we're going hopefully out to draft. You'll get to see what we've put forward. You'll have the opportunity to put in submissions regarding this, and please turn up at the Planning and Consultation Committee meeting on the 12th of August to tell us what you think.
Thank you, Councillor Mackay. Councillor Joyner.
Thank you. Well, Councillor Mackay did an excellent job and stole all my lines, but that is great. I would just like to highlight, how much preparation went into the council plan and what a great community engagement aspect of involvement there was to it. Not only all the areas that Councillor Mackay pointed out, but I'd just like to focus on the deliberative engagement where 20 community members came into council across 2 days in early May. It was a great group of people. We really appreciated their feedback. The Mayor and myself were lucky enough to meet with them and hear from them twice during that process, and they added a lot of value, and that was the first time that we've done that, and I think it was great community engagement. So look forward to hearing from everybody else when it goes out to consultation on the 18th of June. Thank you.
Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Brooker.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not crazy about the cover, But within the contents, there's a lot of very, very important material. I would say, just to echo the comments, this is the second time we've done a deliberative engagement process. The community forum, it was of a somewhat different character than my first experience with it, which was in my first term of council with the Green Wedge Management Plan. I think that ended up with the Ombudsman, us having to kind of tweak it, and it was just a very difficult time. But look, that council plan, this is out for consultation now, and the date is in August, the 12th of August. We're hearing submissions. The first council plan I was involved with in 2017, there were a heap of submissions because there was a lot of contentious areas in that plan. I think with this plan, the strategic focus is in a lot of different areas, but it certainly is talking about climate. It is certainly talking about asset renewal. It's talking about priorities within, I guess, various wards and so on. But it's really up to the public now. The forum was just 20 people. Now it goes out to the whole population of 60-odd thousand. So, this is, everyone keeps saying, the main strategic document. If you want to kind of push us in one direction or another, or think we've missed something or need to improve something, now's the opportunity, well, not now, on the 12th of August, to gather your thoughts and present your arguments. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. Any other councillors? Okay, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to the Revenue and Rating Plan 2025 to 2029. Do I have a mover?
Yes, thanks.
Councillor Joyner.
I would like to move a motion that's different to the officer's recommendation on the original papers, and that is that Council adopts the Revenue and Rating Plan 2025 to 2029, Attachment 1, subject to the inclusion of the following additional paragraphs at Section 3.8, Rate/Summary. The consistent rate increase of 3% annually from 2025 to 2026 onwards aligns with the underlying principles of the Victorian Government's rate cap, which is generally tied to the Consumer Price Index. This linkage reflects a commitment to keeping rate increases in line with cost of living movements, helping to ensure that ratepayers are not unfairly burdened. By aligning revenue increases with CPI, the strategy also supports financial sustainability and predictability, allowing Council to continue delivering essential services and infrastructure without placing disproportionate strain on any particular group within the community. Furthermore, because the rate cap is tied to CPI, similar upward movement in the cost of service and infrastructure delivery is anticipated. The proposed strategy acknowledges this by managing both revenue and expenditure growth in a measured and equitable manner, while recognising the difficulty in predicting growth levels in outer lying years. This ensures that Council's financial planning is responsive to inflationary pressures while maintaining current service delivery and community infrastructure levels. And 2, authorises the Chief Executive Officer to give public notice of the decision to adopt the Revenue and Rating Plan 2025 to 2029.
Thanks, Councillor Joyner. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Cope. Councillor Joyner.
Thank you. The plan outlines Council's most significant sources of income and provides a framework for informing the income projections in Council's Financial Plan 2025-2029 and future budgets. Council endorsed the proposed revenue and rating plan at the 29 April council meeting for the purpose of community consultation. That consultation was for 30 days and we received one submission. And I believe we've taken that into account in the motion. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Joyner. Councillor Cope, do you wish to speak? Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Brooker.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I spoke to this issue, to the revenue and rating plan back in April when it went out for consultation. I think this is never going to get the number of submissions that you would think a budget would or a council plan would, but I think it is illustrative that there was one submission, and I'm not making cause and effect, but you see it's had an impact, and that's all I'd like to say about that. But so, you know, submissions are listened to. Where appropriate, they're actioned and acted upon. So if that's not an encouragement for everyone, I'm not sure what else we could be doing. But I would say, and this is an area I spoke about, and it just reinforces now to me it's worth talking about again, because the motion we're just passing is talking about a disproportionate strain on certain sectors of the community, and those sectors are people on fixed incomes. The report references the pensioner concession that is available and the maximum amount, and if you read into the maximum amount, is $259.50, which is the same of $24.25. It's set by the state government, what that maximum is. The maximum amount for the fire services levy is $50, and that amount has not increased in 12 years. It has stayed the same since 2013 when the fire services levy was first introduced. So in talking about people on fixed incomes and paying a disproportionate share of rates, I think that is a kind of obvious example where you introduce a concession and you never increase it for 12 years. So, you know, I'm sure those people on fixed incomes are very happy to have that $50, but no increase in 12 years, I think, is an issue. And it's more of an issue because of the difference this year, 25-26, because of the Emergency Volunteer Service Fund, where everyone's levy will be, in residential areas, will be approximately doubled. But that fixed concession of $50 remains the same. So that's all I have to say about the revenue and rating plan. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. Any other councillors wish to speak? No? We'll take a vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to the Victorian Electoral Commission Nillumbik Shire election report. Do I have a mover?
Yes, I will move that.
Councillor Mackay?
Yes, I move that we receive and note the 2024 Nillumbik Shire Council election report and the rest as per the papers.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Brooker? Councillor Mackay?
I can never say this word, but if you are a psephologist or an election nerd, this is a thrilling report. So I highly recommend reading it, and I won't go through too much. I will just extend a big thank you to Doug Hocking and his team, who was the election manager at the offices there on Main Road in Eltham. He did a terrific job, and I believe he's been doing that for many years for this shire. I wanted to point out that voter participation and turnout is higher in Nillumbik than at the state average, and our informal voting number is lower, so I think that is quite promising. Just to highlight, we're about to pay an invoice for this election. It's just over $483,000, and I just wanted to endorse the CEO to be able to do that. And this cost includes things such as the communications campaign, election office costs, scrutiny and counting of the ballots, ballot material production, mail processing, postage, listing the non-voters, and all other centralised services. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor McKay. Councillor Brooker.
Look, I think that's the main point that's been made, that's correct. Nobody ever said that democracy was cheap. We have to pay the invoice. One of the ones we more happily do, because it resulted in our election for 4 years. So there you have it. But it is something I think probably a lot of people don't know, that they are funding local government elections specifically through their rates. So we don't get any help from the state government or the federal government to run elections. We have to run them and pay for them ourselves. So that's what happens, and that is the amount for this year. The good news is, hopefully there'll be no by-elections in the next 4 years. Everyone will be healthy and carry on in office, and it'll be 4 years before we have to face this expense again. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Brooker. Councillor Perkins.
Yeah, I think I might be a bit of an election nerd, Councillor McKay, but particularly when it comes to Appendix 8, and I'll just run through some of the results. I won't go through every ward. I might just start and finish with Alice Ward. So Alice Ward, the total enrolment was 7,045. There were 5,895 formal votes. So informal votes, there were 152. And that was only about 2.51% of the total votes. So fairly low count of informal votes, and that's fairly consistent across the other wards, I think, although I haven't really looked at them terribly hard. Back to Alice. Voter turnout, 6,047, so 85.83% of the total enrolment. So 15% missing in action for some reason or another. There was myself and 3 other candidates. The candidate at the top of the list received 1,000, I shan't speak their name in case anyone wants to know who it is, 1,456 first preference votes and 24.7%. The second candidate on the ballot only received 905 votes with 15.35%. Peter Perkins, of course, received 2,885 votes and a percentage of 48.94, just shy of winning on first preference, which I have almost every election up until now. So a bit of a disappointing result in many ways, and I'll certainly work harder to make sure I get more votes next time. Maybe those ones who didn't vote need to vote. And the fourth person, of course, 649 votes, only 649 votes, 11.01%. And probably just one other key stat is the fact that young people love to vote. In Alice Ward participation, people aged between 18 and 19 years old, almost 96% of them voted, 95.89%. And then it drops off, 20 to 24, only 85% voted, 25 to 29 down to 81%. And it stays in the low 80s really until you get to about 50 years of age. 50 to 54, 89% voted. 55 to 59, 92% voted. So there's, in the middle there, people in their 20s and 30s and 40s, only about 80% vote. But anyway, sorry I didn't get to mention any other councillor, but good result all around, and congratulations everyone.
Thank you very much, Councillor Perkins. Any other councillors wish to run through their stats for the year? All right, we'll put that to the vote. All of those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to informal meetings of councillors, the record for the 17th of June 2025. Do I have a mover? Councillor Perkins.
I move that Council, in accordance with item 20 of Council's Governance Rule, meeting procedures, receives the informal meetings of Council's records, attachment 1 for the meetings held.
Thank you, Councillor Perkins. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cope. Councillor Perkins.
Yeah, look, it's just a record of the meetings held and councillors present.
I'm sure you would have done something spectacular during one of them.
Possibly. Certainly attend many meetings, pages and pages and pages of attendance here, and I don't think I've missed any. So it's been a very busy time. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Perkins. Councillor Cope, do you wish to say anything? Any other councillors wish to speak? Okay, all of those in favour? Carried unanimously. There being no notices of motion, no delegates' reports, no supplementary or urgent business, no confidential reports, we will call the meeting closed at 7:59. Thank you very much for all officers. Thank you for all people who have watched online. Don't forget to vote for us in the TV Logie Awards. Everyone have a good evening and good night.